Hey guys, it's Tom Bramwell from Eurogamer here with another of our Games of 2013 videos, and this time I'm joined by Eurogamer's Wesley Ian Poole.
Hello.
This is because this is Wesley's choice for Games of 2013. It is Dan Papers, Please.
Yes, an indie game, and I don't really like indie games.
Why don't you like indie games?
Because it's not that I don't like them. That's harsh. It's more that I prefer sort of big budget blockbuster style games. I never really gotten on with indie games, but I was encouraged to play this by a good friend of mine before it was released. It's sort of beta form, and it just stuck. Something clicked, and I just had to play it when it came out.
Didn't you also play Fez this year?
Yes, but I don't consider that to be an indie game.
Didn't I also get you FTL for Christmas?
Yes, and I haven't played that.
You're such a hipster with all your indie games.
I haven't played FTL though, and Fez is an indie game. Sorry.
Oh wow. Okay, fine. Well, anyway, Papers, Please. So, what is it about Papers, Please that you find so interesting?
I think the thing about it is that really struck me was just how unique it is. I've never seen or played a game like Papers, Please, and on paper, it really shouldn't work because you play a border control inspector. Now, can you imagine, like in an EA video game pitch meeting, someone is like, "I'd like us to make a game where you inspect passports."
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a lovely example of a sort of counterintuitive idea that actually turns out to be quite an entertaining game concept. I mean, you can see from the graphics, like it's it's as though you're sat at the desk, you're looking at the guy, you're comparing all the documents. I like the way you can't look at them all at the same time. There's not enough space.
The user interface is deliberately cumbersome. It's designed to make it difficult for you to manage all the various bits of information and see everything at the same time. It's kind of like you really feel like you're fighting and struggling against the systems, which is exactly what the developer, this guy called Lucas Pope, wanted you to feel.
Yeah.
You're not really powerful, and you're not incredibly skillful. It's really like you and your brain trying to work out discrepancies.
It seems to really capture the sort of the claustrophobia of those institutions as well. I mean, I've only ever been to the US Embassy a few times. But there's a definite sort of tension and crowding, and it's all very sort of structured and systemic and awkward as well. And
absolutely, yeah. Like the way this game looks is perfect. I don't think that it could look better for the kind of game that Lucas Pope made. It's like this kind of weird pixely art visuals that it's just very grey, very bleak tones. And the sounds are awesome. It just sounds brilliant. And I think it all contributes to a sense that you're playing a game that is just kind of unsettling.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's almost relentless. And I think I've been to that embassy as well, getting my US visa, and you do feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. There's, I guess, without spoiling things for people who haven't played it, it's worth mentioning that sort of outside of just going through people's documents and then deciding whether they should be permitted or not, there's also a sort of a wider kind of meta story, and like you're trying to support a family and stuff, aren't you?
Yeah. So there's there's loads of layers to Papers, Please. At first glance, when you first start playing it, you think it's just a really devilish, addictive puzzle game where you're racing against the clock to try and earn enough money as possible by processing people through the border control point. And if you make a mistake, then you are charged money from your daily wage. And then you have this sort of meta game, which is trying to manage your family, keeping them alive essentially, feeding them, paying rent, warming them with your meagre wage. And so that's sort of the top layer of the game. That's what would be as close to gameplay as Papers, Please offers. But then, this is why it's brilliant. This is why it's definitely one of the games of 2013. It's because after a few days, in-game days play, a incredible story starts to unfold, and you discover it's a role-playing game. It's like an actually in-depth role-playing game with some really incredible moral conundrums that you find yourself just gawping at. Like you're playing it and you're like, I have no idea what I should do at this point, and whatever decision I make, someone somewhere is going to suffer.
Yeah, I remember you coming to the office when you were playing it, and you were you felt like you were caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, actually, because both those things are great. But the moral conundrums, I definitely won't spoil it, because you really need to experience this for the first time without any idea of what's going to happen. But essentially, as the game unfolds, you're presented with a number of opportunities to make very important decisions about Arstotzka, the country, the fictional 1980s Soviet Union style country that you're protecting, sort of, I guess.
Yeah.
It just unravels, and within that you meet some really, really interesting characters that are entirely memorable. And we're looking at a game with like basic graphics here, with no voice acting whatsoever. It's minimal in the extreme, and yet you find yourself remembering these characters, learning about their histories and past, and really, really getting emotionally involved in what's going on.
Well, it's clearly a game that has great character as well. I mean, I love the fact that, for example, the printouts of the identity record have the sort of the lines where the ancient printer has failed to print properly, and it has the punched holes down the sides from old school printer paper. I like the fact that the entry permit has that sort of the stuff around the edges, the bobbles where it's been sort of styled in a particular way. It all has this authentic feel, and as you say, the colours and just the little touches. Like I really like the interface for your side of the sort of border control desk. You can see all the little props and pieces and stuff.
This guy, right, Georgie, or Georgie, however you pronounce it, is one of the best characters in the game. I won't spoil it. But this guy, when he first turns up, he's like, get out of here, he's got nothing he wants. And then he comes back and he's got this ridiculous passport. I mean, look at it. Stamp here that he's created with a country that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
He's clearly trying it on.
Does it say he's from Bestburg? Brilliant.
He's just brilliant. And this guy, he's a recurring character, and there's a lot more than meets the eye with him.
Yeah,
he's funny in a really sort of depressing way, and this is the brilliance of this game.
There's a little recurring sort of elements that starts to build up.
It's just wonderfully designed, and I think that because the game makes you consider really interesting things that you're not used to in video games, which are typically fantasy.
Yeah.
It has a much more of an emotional impact, I think.
Yeah.
And you find yourself role playing without really knowing it.
Yeah.
So you can be quite by the book. You can want to play by the rules and prevent people from coming in if they don't have the right documents. But then you meet characters who are so desperate and downtrodden, who genuinely don't want to inflict any pain on your country, but just need to get in for
and so you think about breaking the rules.
And so you think, oh God, I want to break the rules. But if you do, you're making a mistake, and you're going to get charged money from your pay. And then you're like, well, I might not be able to heat my son, and he will die.
Well, let's on that exciting note leave it there, I think. So this is the end of the day.
Yeah, that was just one day, really quick. It's not a long game,
and you've already spent your wages pretty much.
And this is a decision. Like I can't pay to feed or heat my feed and heat my family. I have to pick one. Wow,
and you can't choose. Well, anyway, thank you very much, Wesley. Hope you all enjoyed seeing a bit of Papers, Please. And we have more Games of 2013 videos coming up, so check them out, and happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.